In this video, we are going to get to know InDesign. So InDesign is the next application that we are learning in this course. So let's go to InDesign and open that up. After that, let's create a new file. So you can go to File New here, or you can go Create New here. Okay, they go to the same place. So New Document. Okay, so typically in Photoshop and Illustrator, if you go to File New, then you have just a new document open up. But however, in InDesign, you have a few options. You can create a new document, a new book, or a new library. So for this class, we'll just go create a new document. Here we go. And you can have different shapes and sizes as well. So over here, in units, the standard units is in picas, which is a unit that typographers use. Okay, but because we're familiar with inches, let's go switch that to inches. So we'll do the letter size 8.5 by 11, and we'll go create. And this is our InDesign document. All right, so in InDesign, you will see this sort of purple and pinkish box here. So not to worry, this is a guideline, meaning when you actually save it or print it, you won't actually see this purple box here. Okay, it's just a guide, and it's to guide the designer, which is you, to sort of keep the content within this box. I believe I've mentioned this to you before, that when creating posters or really any kind of artwork, you want to keep your content, such as the text, away from the edges of the page. So give it space, be it business cards or posters. You don't want to write your text all the way to the edge. You want to give it some, like some breathing space. Think of it as, a classroom or a room. You don't want to set your tables right next to the wall, right? You want to have some room to breathe and just to exist. So this is just a guide, and you actually won't see this when you print it or save it. So just to show you that, I'm going to go up here to View, and if I go to Screen Mode, okay, so normal. This is normal, what you're working in. And if you go to Preview, is what your page would actually look like when you print it. So if I go to Preview, this is what your document actually looks like, where you don't see the purple guide. Okay, but you do always want to work in Screen Mode, normal. Okay, so you want to have these purple guide to show you where to put your text or your content in. All right, so before we move on, let's do the most simple thing, which is to save it. File, Save. And when you save it, always save as an InDesign document. Okay, just like in Illustrator, when you save your working file, you want to save as a Illustrator file, or in Photoshop you save as a Photoshop file, PSDAI, and this is InDesign, so it will be INDD. Right, so I'm just gonna go save it in, my downloads here. I'm gonna call it Class 1, and I'll save it. Okay, now when I save it, you can see that the extension is over here. Okay, InDesign document. All right, let's go look at the properties. Right, so it's saved as Class 1 INDD. INDD stands for InDesign document. All right, so please don't make the mistake of saving as a JPEG or anything else when you're saving your working file. Always save as InDesign file. All right, that way you can go back and you can have all the layers available to you and all the other effects and things that you're working on. So in InDesign, you see that it's a bit cleaner. There's a little bit less tools than you see in Photoshop or especially Illustrator, but you still have some of the same stuff, which is over here. This is the layers over here. If you're not able to see this icon here, you can go to Window Layers, and here we are. Okay, there's only one layer so far. Okay, to hide the layer, I click on those double arrows. All right, so one of the first things I'm going to show you is how to place an image. This is different in InDesign. In Photoshop and in Illustrator, it's pretty much the same. You just go to File, Place, and you place an image, right? But you could do the same in InDesign, but how it turns out looks a bit different. When you place an image, there's always a frame and the image. The frame is kind of like the window in which the image exists. So let's go do that. So File, Place, and I'm just going to go Place Elephants Image. Okay, and then I'm going to click and drag and go. So now I have this showing up. And it looks like it's very poor quality, but in fact it's not a very poor quality image. I'll go show you my elephant's image here that I place. It's actually quite a high quality image. The reason why it looks low quality in here is for display purposes. InDesign shows things in a lower quality. It doesn't mean that when you save it or when you print it is going to be low quality. The reason why it shows things in your working file as low quality is so that the speed of your work is faster, so that it frees up processing power. Okay, you can change what it's shown as if you go to View, Display Performance. Okay, if you go to High Quality Display, then it shows you what it actually looks like. But if we want our file to work faster and you don't want to wait for things, then you go to View and then Display Performance Typical. Okay, so you're not changing the resolution of your photo, it's just how it looks when you're playing around with it. Alright, so here I am. This image is sort of sticking out of my page. I want it to be smaller and I want it to kind of fit inside my page. So I'm just going to, especially inside of my, purple guide box here, which is actually called my margins. So inside of my margins. So I click on it and I go to the bounding box and I drag it over. Oh, but look what happened. It's, it does make the box smaller, but it doesn't actually make the image smaller. It just kind of crops it, right? So what happens in InDesign is that there's actually two things that happen when you place an image. You have the frame, which is this blue box, right? You can see that this blue box here, from here to here, there's nothing. And then from here to here, there's this image that got cut off. So to move the image around, you have to go to your direct selection tool, okay, and click on the picture. So now you see this brown box. The brown box is actually your image. Okay, so the image exists inside of your frame. To control the frame, you go to the selection. Here's your frame. Okay. That's your frame here. Right? And the frame doesn't resize the image, it just makes the window smaller. Okay, and then here's my image. So I'm kind of squishing it all over the place. Not the best thing, but I'm just showing you the two things that exist, the frame and the image. So just play around with that. Frame is in the blue here, and the image is in the brown here. They are separate of each other, yet they depend on each other, right? The frame is like a window that kind of crops your image and allows you to see part of your image or your whole image. And the picture is in the brown outline. Alright, so in the next video, I'm going to show you different ways you can place the image and how you can adjust this image as well.